Poor mother sells candy on the street, with babies in her arms to buy medicine. A billionaire sees the scene and does something unbelievable. The heat from the asphalt rose in invisible waves, distorting the air. Clara adjusted Ava on her left arm, feeling the small hot weight of her daughter against her chest. The baby's skin was burning. 7 months old, and the fever hadn't broken in 2 days. 2 whole days watching her daughter wither. 2 days hearing that faint whimper that broke her heart. 2 days without sleep, without eating properly, without knowing what to do. Lily fidgeted on her right arm, restless, pulling at her mother's hair with her tiny fingers. Blonde like her sister, her wide, light-colored eyes watched the movement of the cars. She didn't understand where they were. She only knew she was hungry. Clara was too. The light turned red. She took a deep breath and walked between the stopped cars, the small box of candy in her trembling hand. The same box as always, the same line as always. "Sir, would you buy some candy? It's to buy medicine for my daughter." The man in the car didn't even look. He just shook his head and rolled up his window. Clara moved on to the next one, the panic growing in her chest. Ava was getting worse. She knew it. She could feel it in the way her little body was becoming limper, heavier, hotter. "Mom, please, some candy." "My daughter is sick." The woman looked away, fidgeting with her phone. The light turned green. The cars moved forward. Clara stepped back onto the sidewalk, stumbling. Ava whimpered softly, her head lolling onto her mother's shoulder. Her body was too limp, too hot, frighteningly quiet. "Just hold on a little longer, my love," Clara whispered, kissing her feverish forehead. Her skin burned so much that it stung Clara's lips. "Mommy will make it, okay? She'll get the money for the medicine. Just a little longer." But she didn't know if she would. She didn't know if she had time. She didn't know if a simple over-the-counter medicine would be enough. It was mid-afternoon. She had sold 3 candy bars, 3 measly bars. It wasn't even enough for a box of Tylenol, let alone a doctor's visit. Her legs ached. Her back throbbed. Her arms felt like they were about to give out, the muscles screaming for a break. 2 7-month-old babies, for hours on end, weighed like lead. Every step was a battle against her own body, which was begging for rest, but she couldn't stop. Not now. Lily started to whimper. Clara knew what it was. Hunger. The morning's bottle was long gone. She herself hadn't eaten since last night. A piece of stale bread divided into 3 quick bites before leaving home. "I know, sweetie. I know." But Lily didn't understand. She only knew her belly ached, and Ava wasn't even crying anymore. Just that low, constant moan, which was much worse than any cry. Another red light. Clara crossed again, slower this time. Her old sandals scraped against the hot pavement. A man on a motorcycle honked angrily as she passed in front of him. She didn't react. She just kept going, the fear tightening its grip. What if it was serious? What if it wasn't just a fever? What if she had waited too long? "Sir, can you help us? Just 1 candy bar." "Nothing." "Please, ma'am, just 1 bar. My daughter needs medicine." Silence. "It's only $1, please." "She's sick." The driver sped off as soon as the light changed, nearly hitting her foot. The cars sped up. The exhaust fumes rose, mixing with the heat. Clara coughed. Ava coughed too, a weak, wet sound that made her mother's heart clench with fear. She leaned against the shadow of a light pole, trying to catch her breath. Lily was crying now loudly, her face red with frustration and hunger. Ava just whimpered, her eyes half closed, her lower lip trembling. Her breathing was strange, too fast, too shallow. Clara felt her throat tighten. Tears burned in her eyes, but she blinked hard to keep them away. She couldn't cry. If she cried, she would fall apart. And if she fell apart, who would take care of them? The urge to just sit there and give up hit her hard, to just let her body collapse onto the dirty sidewalk and wait for someone, anyone, to care enough to help. But nobody cared. Nobody ever cared. She looked at Ava. The baby's eyes were closed now. Her blonde eyelashes trembled. Her lips were chapped and pale. "No," Clara whispered, her voice failing. No, my love. Stay with me. Please, stay with me. She kissed her daughter's forehead again, feeling the impossible heat. How could a child so small be so hot? She took a deep breath, ignored the pain shooting through her back. She adjusted both babies in her arms, holding Ava a little tighter against her chest, as if she could protect her with willpower alone. She went back to the traffic light. She had to keep going. There was no choice. For them. Always for them. Because if she stopped, who would take care of them? Who would buy the medicine? Who would hold them both when they cried in the middle of the night? No one. Only her. And she was failing. It was at the fourth red light that the car stopped. It wasn't like the others. This one pulled over slowly, deliberately, right in front of her. A black, gleaming, expensive sedan. The kind of car Clara only ever saw from a distance, passing by too quickly for her to make out the brand. The window came down with a smooth, electronic hum. Clara approached, a faint hope flickering in her chest. She held up the box of candy with the hand that was holding Lily, almost dropping the baby in the process. Her fingers trembled so much that the box shook. "Sir, buy some candy. It's for—" She stopped. The man wasn't looking at her. He was looking at Ava. He was young, early 30s maybe, dark, well-cut hair, an impeccable suit, tie still in place despite the absurd heat. Serious, focused eyes, the color of dark honey. And right now, those eyes were fixed on the baby in Clara's arm, and there was something in them. Concern, recognition. "She has a high fever," he said. It wasn't a question. Clara blinked, taken aback. Yes, she does, but how long?" 2 days, but I'm about to—" 2 days. His voice changed, becoming more tense, more urgent. "Have you taken her to a doctor?" Clara felt her face flush with shame. Not yet, but why not?" The question was direct, not accusatory, just confused. "Because I don't have money," Clara answered, her voice louder than she intended. "Because I've been out here selling candy at this light for 6 hours and I've only made $3. Because no hospital will see us without insurance. That's why." The tears came now, hot and fast. She couldn't hold them back. "I know she needs a doctor, I know, but what am I supposed to do? I have nothing. Nothing." Lily cried louder, scared by her mother's tone. Ava whimpered weakly. The man was silent for a second. Then, "You need help. Get in." Clara took a step back, wiping her face on her shoulder. "What?" "Get in the car. I'm taking you to the hospital." Her heart raced. All the stories she had ever heard, all the warnings, all the bad news flashed through her mind in a second. Men offering rides, women disappearing, children vanishing. "No, thank you. We're fine." "She is not fine." He gestured toward Ava with a firm tilt of his chin. "Look at her color. Look how limp she is. Look at how she's breathing. That fever isn't normal." Clara really looked. Ava's skin was too pale, almost transparent under the sun. The bluish veins were visible at her temples. Her lips were chapped and dry, almost white. Her entire body was limp, hanging in her mother's arm like a rag doll. And her breathing, fast, shallow, with a strange sound at the end of each exhale. Panic exploded in Clara's chest. "I need to buy medicine," she said, her voice desperate, breaking. "Not a hospital. I just need to sell a few more bars and buy some Tylenol, and medicine isn't going to fix this." His voice was gentle now, but still firm, decisive. "She needs a doctor. She needs tests. It could be an infection. It could be a serious virus. You can't treat this on your own, not like this." "But I don't have money for a hospital," Clara nearly shouted. "I don't have insurance. I don't have a credit card. I have nothing. They'll just send me away. They'll tell me I need to go to a public clinic, and they won't." He said it with such certainty, such firmness, that Clara almost believed him. "I'll pay for everything. The consultation, tests, medicine, a hospital stay if she needs it. Whatever is necessary." Clara stood there, her mouth slightly open. "Why?" The question came out weak, confused. Why would you do that? You don't even know me." He was silent for a moment. His eyes dropped to Ava again, and Clara saw something cross his face. pain, regret, a memory. "Because it's already too late for me to do nothing," he said, quietly. Before Clara could ask what that meant, Lily cried louder, the cry turning into a scream. Ava whimpered along, a sound so low and faint it barely came out. Her little body trembled. "Please," he said, and there was real urgency in his voice now. Fear, even. "Trust me, just this once. Let me help." Clara looked at him. Serious eyes, steady hands on the steering wheel, straight posture, and that expression, as if he were seeing something beyond her. Something from his past. Then she looked at Ava, limp body, strange breathing, pale skin, closed eyes, discolored lips, dying. The word cut through Clara's mind like a knife. My daughter is dying. The decision was instant. She got in the car. The interior was cold, air conditioning on full blast. Clara sat in the back seat, settling the girls on her lap. The leather was soft, clean. It smelled like a new car and something expensive she couldn't name. Ava barely reacted to the change in temperature, not even a sigh of relief. Nothing. Lily stopped crying for a moment, surprised by the sudden cold. Her light-colored eyes widened, looking around. The man was already accelerating before the door was fully closed. Clara looked out the window, tense, every muscle tight. Her hands gripped the babies, ready to scream, to jump from the moving car if necessary, to do whatever it took to protect her daughters. But he just drove, fast, but not reckless, steady, focused. His eyes were fixed on the road, weaving through traffic with precision. "What's her name?" he asked, his eyes meeting hers in the rearview mirror. Clara hesitated, saying the name seemed to make it all more real, more dangerous, more permanent. "Ava. And the other one?" "Lily." He nodded, as if carefully storing the information in his memory. "I'm Nathan." Clara didn't reply. She just watched the back of his neck, his straight posture, his steady hand on the wheel, the way he checked the rearview mirror every few seconds, not to look at her, but to check on Ava. "You don't have to be afraid," Nathan said, his voice softer now. "I just want to help, nothing more. Nothing. I'll drop you at the hospital, pay for whatever is needed, and you never have to see me again if you don't want to." "Why?" Clara asked again, her voice coming out harsher than she intended. "Why would you stop for a stranger at a traffic light? People drive by me every day, hundreds of them, and no one stops. Why you?" Nathan was silent for a long moment. The car drove for 2 blocks, turned a corner before he answered. "Because I've seen that look before," he said, so quietly Clara almost didn't hear. "That desperation, that helplessness. I saw it in my mother when I was a kid, and she didn't have money to take me to the doctor. I saw it in her when she got sick, and I was too young to really help." He paused. His fingers tightened on the steering wheel. "And I couldn't save her, but I can help you." Clara frowned but didn't ask any more questions. She didn't have the energy to process it. Not now. Not while Ava was like this. Ava whimpered again, turning her head against Clara's chest. Her skin burned so much that Clara could feel it through her own thin, worn-out blouse. Her little body trembled. Once, twice. "Almost there," Nathan said, and his voice was tense now. He sped up. "Hang on, little one. Almost there." Clara closed her eyes, holding her daughters against her chest. Lily had started whimpering again, sensing the tension. Ava was just breathing, fast, much too fast, and Clara prayed. Prayed that she had made the right choice. Prayed that Ava would hold on. Prayed that it wasn't too late. "Please, God, please, don't take her from me. Not now. Not like this." The hospital appeared ahead. Nathan sped up, running the last yellow light. The large and white building rose up on the corner, the red letters of the emergency sign glowing even in the afternoon sun. "We're here," Nathan said, turning sharply into the entrance. Clara held the girls tighter against her chest, her heart pounding. Lily was crying, Ava was moaning, and she just prayed. The car stopped. Nathan got out quickly, opening the back door. "Come on, let's go inside." And Clara got out of the car, holding her daughters, following a stranger into a hospital. Because she had no other choice, because Ava needed it, and because, for the first time in a very long time, someone had stopped. The waiting room smelled of antiseptic and fear. Clara sat on a hard plastic chair, Lily sleeping restlessly on her lap. It had been an hour since they took Ava, an entire hour with no news, not knowing if her daughter was okay, not knowing if she had made it in time. Nathan was sitting next to her, quiet. He hadn't left, not after paying the initial fees, talking to the receptionist, ensuring Ava would be seen immediately. He just stayed there, waiting with her. Clara glanced at him out of the corner of her eye. His elbows were on his knees, his hands clasped together, staring at the floor. His tie was loosened now. The sleeves of his shirt were rolled up to his elbows. He looked tired, but not impatient. "You don't have to stay," Clara said quietly, her voice hoarse from holding back tears. "You've already done so much." Nathan lifted his head, looking at her. "I'm staying." It wasn't negotiable. It was simple. Direct. Clara didn't insist. She didn't have the strength for it. Lily stirred in her lap, whimpering. Clara adjusted the baby, running a hand through her fine blonde hair. She was hungry too, tired too, but at least she was okay. Ava wasn't. The thought squeezed Clara's chest again. The tears returned, hot and silent, streaming down her face without control. "And I waited too long," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I knew she was sick, I knew it, but I kept trying to fix it myself, buying cheap medicine, waiting for it to pass." She wiped her face with the back of her hand, but the tears kept coming. "It's all my fault." Nathan turned his body toward her, his expression serious but gentle. "It's not." "It is," Clara insisted, her voice rising slightly. Lily woke up, startled, and started to cry. Clara rocked her automatically, but kept talking. "I should have brought her sooner. I should have asked for help. I should have done something, anything." "You did what you could." "It wasn't enough." Her voice came out too loud. A few people in the waiting room looked over. Clara lowered her tone, but the pain was still there, raw and exposed. "She could have died. Because of me. Because I don't have money. Because I can't provide the basics for my own daughters." She sobbed, clutching Lily to her chest. The baby was crying with her now, sensing her mother's despair. Nathan was silent for a moment. Then he leaned a little closer, his voice low and steady. "You're a mother doing her best with what she has. Doing the impossible every day to keep your daughters alive, fed, safe. That's not failure. That's survival." Clara looked at him, her eyes red and swollen. "But This is not your fault," Nathan repeated, more firmly now. "The system fails, the lack of support, the lack of options. That's not on you. You're doing everything right in the wrong circumstances." Clara wanted to believe him. She wanted to so badly, but the guilt was there, heavy and suffocating, telling her she wasn't good enough, never would be. "I don't have money to pay for any of this," she said, looking down. "The consultation, the tests, the medicine. I don't even know how much it will cost, but I know I don't have it." She paused, the shame burning in her chest. "You already paid the deposit. I'll pay you back, somehow. It might take a while, but I swear Clara." She stopped, surprised to hear her own name. She didn't remember telling him. Nathan was looking directly into her eyes now. "You don't have to worry, I'm here. But I'll handle it, all of it. You won't owe me anything." Clara shook her head, confused. "But why? Why are you doing this? I don't understand." Nathan sighed, running a hand through his hair. For a moment he looked older, tired, carrying something heavy she couldn't see. "Because I didn't help when I should have, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life. But I can help now, I can make a difference now. So let me—" Before Clara could answer, the door to the examination area opened. A young doctor came out in a white coat, her hair tied in a ponytail. She looked around and her eyes met Clara's. "Family of Ava?" Clara shot to her feet, nearly dropping Lily. Nathan stood up with her, a steady presence by her side. "That's me. I'm her mother. How is she? Is she okay? Please, tell me she—" The doctor held up a hand, gentle but firm. "She's stable." We've managed to bring the fever down, and she's responding well to the initial treatment. Clara let out a breath so deep she almost collapsed right there. Her legs gave way. Nathan steadied her with a firm hand on her arm. But, the doctor continued, and her tone changed. She has a serious infection. It likely started as something simple, but without proper treatment, it escalated. We're going to need to admit her. At least 3 days of intravenous antibiotics and constant observation. Clara's heart sank again. Admitted. 3 days. Antibiotics. How much did that cost? $1,000? $2,000? More? And is she going to be okay? Clara asked, her voice failing. Yes. With the right treatment, she will make a full recovery. But it needs to start now. If you had waited 1 more day. The doctor didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Clara felt the tears returning. Lily was crying in her arms, and all she could think was, I almost lost my daughter. Can she see her? Nathan asked, his voice calm. The doctor looked at him, then at Clara. Yes. She's in an observation room. I'll take you. The room was small, clean, with white walls and fluorescent lights. Ava was in a small hospital bed with rails on the sides. There was an IV in her tiny arm, connected to a drip. Monitors beeped softly nearby. But she was breathing peacefully. The color was already returning to her face. Clara dropped her bag on the floor and went to the bed, holding the rail with one hand, Lily with the other. The tears fell freely now, but they were different. They were tears of relief. Hi, my love, she whispered, running her free hand through her daughter's blonde hair. Mommy's here. You're safe now. Ava didn't wake up. She just breathed calmly. Clara looked over her shoulder. Nathan was standing in the doorway, watching silently. He didn't come all the way in. He just stood there, respecting their space. Thank you, Clara said, her voice low but sincere, for everything. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped. Nathan just nodded as if it were nothing, but it was everything. It was literally everything. The doctor returned a few minutes later with paperwork and information about the treatment. Clara listened, trying to absorb it all, but her head was spinning. Antibiotics every 6 hours, constant hydration, observation, blood tests every 12 hours. And the costs? Clara asked, hesitant. The doctor looked at the tablet in her hand. It's already been taken care of. The gentleman here, she gestured to Nathan, covered everything. The admission, medication, follow-up care, you don't need to worry about it. Clara turned to Nathan, stunned. You paid for everything? Yes, but that must have cost... It doesn't matter how much it costs. His voice was firm, final. What matters is that she gets well. Clara didn't know what to say. She didn't know how to thank someone for something like this. There weren't words big enough, so she just whispered, Why? Why are you doing this for us? Nathan looked at Ava, lying in the bed, small and fragile but alive, because everyone deserves a chance, and because I couldn't give that chance to someone I loved. But I can give it to you. He looked at Clara again, and I'm going to stay here until I'm sure all 3 of you are okay. Clara felt something break inside her. Not from pain, but from hope. From something she hadn't felt in so long she had forgotten its name, trust, and for the first time in years, she wasn't completely alone. The second day in the hospital began with the sun streaming through the small window of the room. Clara had spent the night in an uncomfortable armchair next to Ava's bed, waking at every sound, every sigh from her daughter. Lily had slept on her chest, restless and heavy. Ava was better. The fever had gone down. Her color was returning. Her light eyes would open from time to time, still tired, but alive. Clara would exhale every time she saw her daughter breathing peacefully. The door opened. A nurse came in to check Ava's vital signs, write down numbers, change the IV bag. Clara watched everything intently, as if she needed to memorize every detail to be sure everything was all right. She's responding well, the nurse said with a gentle smile. So 1 more day of antibiotics and you can start thinking about going home. Clara nodded, relieved. When the nurse left, silence returned. Lily began to whimper, rubbing her eyes with her little hands. Hunger. Again. Clara looked at the bag she had brought. It was empty. There was no bottle, no extra diaper. Nothing but the clothes on her back and the box of candy that was still there, forgotten at the bottom. She sighed, running a hand through her dirty hair. She hadn't showered in 2 days, hadn't eaten a decent meal in even longer. Her whole body ached. But Ava was alive. And that's what mattered. The door opened again. Nathan walked in, carrying 2 large bags. He looked different. No suit. Jeans, a simple t-shirt, sneakers. He looked younger this way, less distant. "Good morning," he said, closing the door with his foot. Clara blinked, surprised. "You came back. I said I'd stay until I was sure you were all okay." He placed the bags on the small table next to the bed. "Thanks, and I brought a few things." Clara got up from the armchair, Lily in her arms, and looked at the bags. Nathan began to take things out. Diapers, a whole package, wet wipes, baby bottles, 2 new ones, formula, baby food in colorful little jars, and for Clara, packaged sandwiches, fruit, juice, water. She stood there, motionless. You bought all this." "You need it," Nathan answered simply, as if it were obvious. "I thought you might not have brought much with you." Clara looked at the bags, at the items spread across the table, and felt her throat tighten. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to, just eat something." "You're pale." He picked up one of the sandwiches and handed it to her. Clara hesitated but took it. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened the wrapper. The smell of fresh bread and ham made her stomach rumble loudly. She took the first bite and almost cried. She couldn't remember the last time she had eaten something that wasn't a leftover or a piece of old bread. Nathan took one of the new bottles, opened the formula and began to prepare it. His movements were confident, practical, as if he had done it before. Lily stopped whimpering, her eyes fixed on him. "You know how to make a bottle?" Clara asked, still chewing. "I learned when I was younger. I used to help my mom with the neighbors' kids. We needed the extra money." He finished preparing it, shook the bottle to mix and tested the temperature on his wrist before offering it to Clara. "It's good. You can give it to her." Clara took the bottle and offered it to Lily, who grabbed it with both hands and began to drink desperately. The room fell silent for a moment, just the sound of the baby suckling and Clara chewing slowly. Nathan sat in the chair in the corner, watching Ava sleep. "How was she last night?" he asked. "Good. Better than yesterday. The fever didn't come back." "Good." Silence again. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful. Clara finished the sandwich and took another. She couldn't stop. Her body was crying out for food, for energy. "Don't you work?" she asked, suddenly curious. "I mean, you've been here for 2 days. Doesn't anyone miss you?" Nathan gave a small smile. "I own a company. I work when I need to. And right now I don't need to. A company for what? Technology. Software." Clara didn't really understand, but she nodded. It made sense. The expensive car, the clothes, the way he paid for everything without blinking. "And you?" Nathan asked. "What do you do for work?" Clara looked down, the shame returning. "I'm unemployed." She paused, adjusting Lily on her lap. "Before the girls were born, I worked at a supermarket. A cashier, it wasn't much, but it paid the rent, bought food, things like that. But when I found out I was pregnant, with twins, everything got harder." She took a deep breath. "Their father disappeared, literally, blocked my number, moved out of town. I was left alone. Huge belly, couldn't stand for long periods. I lost my job. I tried to find another one, but nobody hires a pregnant woman. And after they were born, as with 2 babies, nobody will hire me." Her voice was quiet, but steady. It wasn't self-pity. It was just the truth. "So I sell candy at the traffic light. It's what you can do with 2 kids in your arms. It barely makes anything, but it's what I have." Nathan was silent, processing. "And family. Anyone who can help." Clara shook her head. "I don't have anyone. My parents died when I was a teenager. I don't have siblings, No aunts, uncles, cousins, nothing. Just me and them. Lily had finished her bottle and was starting to doze off again. Clara rocked her gently, looking at her daughter with a mix of love and exhaustion. That's why I get so desperate when one of them gets sick, because if I fail, there's no one to take my place. No one. Nathan leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. You're not failing. It feels like it. You're doing the impossible every single day. And they're alive, who fed, loved. That is not failure. Clara looked at him, her eyes shining. Sometimes it doesn't feel like enough. I know, but it is. Lily stirred in Clara's lap, still half awake. She looked around and her eyes landed on Nathan. The baby reached her little arms out toward him, opening and closing her fists. Nathan looked at Clara, surprised. She wants you to hold her, Clara said, a small smile on her face. Can I? Of course. Nathan stood up and carefully took Lily, settling the baby in his arms. Lily looked at him for a moment, studying his face, and then rested her head on his shoulder, trusting. Clara's eyes widened. She never does that with strangers. Nathan rubbed Lily's back, rocking her gently. Maybe I'm not a stranger anymore. Clara watched him holding her daughter, the gentle way, the care, the way Lily relaxed completely in his arms. You're good with kids, she said, almost surprised. Nathan gave a small smile. I've had practice. My mum worked a lot. I used to look after the neighbors' kids to help out. I learned early. Do you have kids? No. Never had time for it. Always focused on work. But you liked them. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Nathan looked at Lily, then at Ava, sleeping in the bed. I do. They're special, strong, just like their mother. Clara felt her face grow warm. She couldn't remember the last time someone had said something like that about her. Lily started to snore softly on Nathan's shoulder. He kept rocking her, peaceful, as if he had always done this. Clara leaned back in the armchair, watching. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't alone. She wasn't carrying everything on her own. And even if it was temporary, even if Nathan left tomorrow and she never saw him again, this moment existed. Someone cared. Someone stayed. And that was more than she'd had in years. Thank you, she whispered. Nathan looked at her. For what? For staying. For not leaving. For seeing us. Nathan held her gaze. You deserve to be seen. And in that moment, Clara believed him. On the third day, the doctor discharged them. Ava was well. The fever was completely gone. The tests showed the infection was under control. She still needed to take antibiotics for 5 more days, but she could do it at home. Clara signed the papers with trembling hands, still not believing it was all over. That her daughter was alive, that she was going home. She looked at Ava, sleeping peacefully in the hospital bassinet, and felt her chest tighten with relief. Nathan was there, as always. He took the bags with the medicine and the doctor's instructions, while Clara carried Ava on one hip and Lily on the other. My car is outside, Nathan said. I'll give you a ride. Clara hesitated. You don't have to. I know, but I'm taking you anyway. She didn't argue. She didn't have the energy, and deep down, she didn't want to go alone. She didn't want to go back to the traffic light, wait for a crowded bus, carry them both under the scorching sun. Not after everything. They left the hospital. The afternoon sun hit Clara's face, warm but not suffocating. Ava blinked, bothered by the brightness, and hid her face in her mother's neck. Lily looked around, curious, her light eyes shining. The car was parked nearby. Nathan opened the back door, helped Clara carefully settle the girls, making sure they were secure, and got back behind the wheel. What's the address? He asked, starting the engine. Clara gave him the address quietly, almost ashamed. It wasn't far, maybe a 20-minute drive, but it felt like another world compared to the places Nathan probably frequented. Nathan put it in his GPS and started driving. The ride was silent at first. Clara looked out the window, watching the city pass by. Tall buildings downtown gave way to smaller structures. Shops turned into neighborhood convenience stores. Smooth asphalt turned into potholed streets. She watched Nathan out of the corner of her eye. He drove calmly, making no comments about the changing scenery. He didn't seem uncomfortable or nervous, just attentive. "So did you grow up around here?" Nathan asked suddenly, breaking the silence. Clara shook her head. "No, I grew up in the countryside, came to the city when I was 18, looking for work. I thought it would be easier here." "Was it?" She gave a bitter half-smile. "At first, yes, I got a job, a place to live. I was doing okay. But then, things changed." Nathan didn't ask any more questions. He just nodded, respecting her silence. When they reached her neighborhood, Nathan slowed down. The streets were narrow, poorly paved, with deep potholes he carefully avoided. Small houses were crammed together on both sides, some with peeling paint, others with rusted bars on the windows. Children played barefoot in the street. Colorful clothes swayed on clotheslines. "It's there," Clara pointed. "The blue house, the small one." Nathan parked in front. It was a simple one-story house with an old wooden door and a small window protected by bars. The blue paint was faded, peeling in several places. The small iron gate creaked, but the steps were clean. The front was swept. There was dignity in its simplicity. Nathan turned off the car and got out. Clara took the girls, settling Ava on her left hip and Lily on her right, and got out too. "Thanks for the ride," she said, searching for the key in her pocket. Nathan looked at the house, then at her. "Can I come in?" Clara stopped, surprised. "Why? I just want to make sure you're okay, that you have everything you need." Clara hesitated. She didn't like people seeing where she lived. It was too small, too simple, almost empty. The few visitors she'd ever had over the years always left with that look, pity mixed with discomfort. But Nathan had already seen her selling candy at a traffic light. He had seen her crying in the hospital, desperate with nothing. He had seen her at her worst. What more could he see? "Okay," she said, taking out the key. She opened the door. The old wood creaked. The room was small, very small. There were no divisions. It was all one space, living room, bedroom, kitchen, all in an area smaller than a normal garage. The walls were white, clean but peeling in some spots. The floor was cold cement, cracked in places. In the right corner, a mattress on the floor. Thin, old, but covered with clean, neatly folded sheets. Next to it, 2 large cardboard boxes served as makeshift cribs, lined with soft, colorful towels. Clara had carefully cut the sides, making them low enough for her to easily reach the girls. On the other side, an old 2-burner stove, rusty but functional, a small, stained sink, a short, old refrigerator that hummed loudly all the time, and a small white plastic table with 2 chairs, one with a broken leg propped up on bricks. There was no couch. No real closet, just a curtain hiding makeshift shelves made of planks and bricks. No television, no fan, almost nothing. But the girls' clothes were washed and folded in a clean basket. The floor was swept. There were no dirty dishes in the sink. There was order, there was care, there was dignity. Clara went inside, carefully placing the girls in their cardboard boxes. They settled in, tired from the trip. Ava closed her eyes almost immediately, still weak. Lily yawned, rubbing her eyes with her little hands. Nathan stood in the doorway for a moment, looking around. His face showed no judgment, no pity, no discomfort. Just quiet observation. "Sorry about the mess," Clara said, self-consciously running a hand through her hair. "Say it's not messy, it's clean. But there's almost nothing here." Nathan came inside, carefully closing the door behind him. He walked slowly through the room, taking in the details, the colorful towels in the boxes, the folded clothes, the stove, clean despite the rust. He stopped in front of the kitchen area, opened the small cabinet above the sink. Empty. He opened the refrigerator. Empty too. Just a half-full bottle of water and an empty margarine container. He closed it slowly, his jaw tightening, and turned to Clara. "Do you have any food?" Clara looked down, the shame burning. "It ran out yesterday morning. I was going to buy more, but then Ava got sick and I had to stay with her at the hospital, and I understand. Nathan took his phone out of his pocket and started typing something. Clara frowned. What are you doing? Making a list. A list of what? Of what you need. Clara took a step forward, anxious. Nathan, you've already done too much. Seriously. The hospital, the medicine, everything. You don't have to. I do. He looked at her, his dark eyes serious. You have no food. They need to eat. You need to eat. So yes, I do. Clara didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to refuse strongly, to say she could manage on her own, that she always had. But the raw truth was that she couldn't. Not anymore. And he knew it. I'll pay you back, she said, her voice low but firm. Somehow it might take months, even years, but I swear I don't want you to pay me back. His voice was gentle but decisive. I want you to be okay, for the girls to grow up healthy, for you to not have to choose between eating or buying diapers. He went back to his phone, typing quickly. I'll be back tomorrow with some things. Nothing extravagant, just the basics to get you through the next few weeks. Clara felt her throat tighten. The tears returned, hot and insistent, but she blinked hard to hold them back. She had cried enough in front of him. Why are you doing this? She asked, her voice cracking. Nathan put his phone in his pocket and looked directly into her eyes. Because no one should go hungry. No one should have to raise children like this, without support, without a safety net, without anything. And because I can help, I'm in a position to make a difference, so I'm going to... He walked to the door, but paused before leaving, his hand on the knob. Rest today. Take care of the girls. Give Ava her medicine on schedule. I'll be back tomorrow morning. And he left, closing the door softly behind him. Clara stood in the middle of the empty room, staring at the closed door. She heard the car start, heard him drive away. And for the first time in a very long time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone in this world. The next day, Nathan came back. It was 9 a.m. when Clara heard the firm knock on the door. She was on the floor, sitting cross-legged, playing with Lily, making exaggerated faces to try to make the baby laugh. Ava was asleep in her cardboard box, still recovering, her little body finally relaxed and fever-free. Clara got up, wiped her hands on her pants, and went to open it. Nathan was standing outside with so many bags in his hands and arms that she could barely see his face. "Good morning," he said, his voice slightly muffled behind the bags. You brought all this?" Clara asked, stunned. "I said I'd bring the basics." He came inside without waiting for an invitation, skillfully balancing the bags, and began to put everything on the small table. Clara closed the door and approached, somewhere between curious and nervous. Nathan began to take things out, one by one. Rice, a huge 5-kilo bag, pasta. Several types, spaghetti, penne, fusilli. Cooking oil, salt, sugar, tomato sauce, several jars. Frozen ground meat, chicken, formula, 3 large cans, more jars of baby food, various flavors, diapers, 2 huge packages, the right size for the girls, wet wipes, baby soap, shampoo, toothpaste, a toothbrush, toilet paper, dish soap, laundry detergent. Clara stood there, mouth open, watching the pile of things grow on the table. This is a lot. It's the basics for 2 weeks, maybe 3 if you're careful. He continued to take things out. Fruit, apples, bananas, oranges, sliced bread, butter, margarine, eggs, cartons of milk, coffee, cookies, even a bar of chocolate. Oh, Nathan, this must have cost a fortune. It doesn't matter what it cost. He stopped, looked directly at her, serious. What matters is that you eat, that the girls have clean diapers, that you don't have to go out selling candy in the sun with 2 babies in your arms just to afford medicine. He pointed to the boxes on the floor. No one grows up hungry. No one. And you're not alone anymore, understand? Clara felt the tears return. This time she didn't hold them back. She let them fall. I don't know how to thank you. I don't even know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just use it well, and take care of them. He finished emptying all the bags and began to put things away in the empty cabinets. Clara helped, still processing everything, still trying to understand how this was happening. The cabinets filled up. Rice, pasta, sauce. The shelves that once held only dust now held real food. The refrigerator that had been empty now had meat, eggs, milk, fruit. When they were done, Nathan looked around, satisfied, and saw Lily crawling determinedly toward him. She tugged hard on the leg of his pants, demanding attention, her light eyes fixed on his face. Nathan smiled and easily scooped the baby into his arms. Lily let out a happy, high-pitched squeal. "She likes you," Clara said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. "I like her too, and Ava." Lily started pulling at his hair with her curious little hands. Nathan made an exaggerated, funny face, and the baby burst into a delightful laugh that filled the small room. Clara smiled. She couldn't remember the last time she had heard her daughters laugh like that. A real laugh, joyful, light. "Stay for some coffee," she offered, shyly. "It's not much, but I'd love to." Clara made coffee on the old stove, the good smell filling the space. She toasted some bread on a griddle, spread butter on it, put sugar in the coffee. It was simple, basic, but it was what she could offer, and it was made with care. They ate together, sitting on the wobbly, broken chairs. Lily sat on Nathan's lap, nibbling on a piece of bread softened with milk. Ava woke up in the middle of it, and Clara gave her a bottle, the baby suckling slowly, still weak but getting better. They talked about small things. The weather was cooler. How Ava was recovering well. How Lily was getting heavy, growing so fast. Normal things, everyday things. And Clara couldn't remember the last time anything in her life had been like this. Normal, light. When Nathan stood up to leave, Clara walked him to the door, Ava in her arms. "Thank you, again, for everything." "You're welcome, and if you need anything, any problem, call me." He wrote his number on a piece of paper he took from his wallet and handed it to her. "To any time of day, okay." Clara held the paper as if it were the most precious thing in the world. "Okay." Nathan stepped out into the morning sun, but before getting into his car, he stopped, as if he had remembered something. "Oh, I almost forgot one thing." He opened the trunk and took out a smaller paper bag. He walked back to the door and handed it to Clara. "Icy for them." Clara looked inside the bag. There were 2 toys, simple, made of colorful, durable plastic, a bright red rattle and a soft yellow teddy bear with black button eyes. She looked at Nathan, her throat too tight to speak. "It's the first time they've ever gotten a toy," she managed to say, her voice failing. Nathan smiled, a gentle, sincere smile. "Then I hope they like them very much." Clara held the bag against her chest. "They'll love them, I know they will." Nathan nodded, got in his car, and drove away. Clara stood in the doorway, barefoot on the cold cement, holding Ava and the bag, watching the car disappear around the corner. When he was completely gone, she went inside, closed the door, sat on the floor with the girls and showed them the toys. Lily grabbed the rattle with both hands and shook it, delighted by the loud noise. Ava held the yellow teddy bear, hugging it to her chest, her light eyes shining. And Clara cried. But this time, it wasn't from sadness. It wasn't from fear or desperation. It was pure gratitude. That night, after giving the girls a warm bath in an old basin, changing them into clean, new diapers, giving them bottles of real milk, and putting them to sleep in their lined boxes, Clara lay down on the thin mattress on the floor. The cabinets were full. The girls were fed, clean, safe. Ava was recovering. Lily was happy, playing with her rattle until she fell asleep. And for the first time in a very, very long time, Clara slept in peace, because she was no longer completely alone. Because someone had seen her. Someone had stopped. Someone had stayed. And someone had said, "You're not alone anymore." And she believed it. The weeks passed in a way Clara hadn't expected. Nathan came back. He always came back. At first, she thought it would be just once, then twice, maybe 3 times at most, but he kept showing up. 3, 4 times a week. Sometimes he brought food. Sometimes he just came to visit. And slowly, without either of them quite realizing it, he became part of their routine. That Thursday afternoon, Nathan arrived around 3. Clara was trying to get Ava to eat some mashed banana when she heard the familiar knock on the door. "It's open!" she shouted. Nathan walked in, already used to it. He didn't wear suits anymore. He came in jeans and a t-shirt, casual, comfortable. He had a small bag in his hand. "I brought cookies," he said, placing the bag on the table. "Are the ones Lily likes." Clara smiled. "She's going to freak out with happiness." Nathan came closer, watching as Ava turned her head away from the food for the 5th time. "She doesn't want to eat." "It's a struggle today. I think she's teething." "Can I try?" Clara handed him the spoon. Nathan sat on the floor next to Ava's cardboard box, took the bowl, and started making airplane noises with the spoon, making funny sounds. Ava looked at him, curious. She opened her mouth. Nathan took his chance and put the spoon in. Ava swallowed. "Good girl," he celebrated. Clara shook her head, impressed. "How do you do that?" "Old trick." "My mum taught me." Lily came crawling out of the kitchen, saw Nathan, and squealed with joy. She moved quickly, climbed into his lap without ceremony, and started tugging on his shirt. "Hi, little one," Nathan said, kissing the top of her blonde head, while continuing to feed Ava with his other hand. Clara watched the scene, Nathan on the floor with both girls, completely at ease, and felt something strange in her chest, something warm, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. In the following days, Nathan started bringing different things, not just food, but educational toys, activity mats, soft cloth books. "Thus, they're at the age where they need to start exploring more," he explained, setting up the colorful mat on the floor. "This will help with their motor development." Clara didn't know about these things. She never had time to read about child development. She was too busy trying to survive. But Nathan knew, and he taught her patiently. He would place the girls on their tummies on the mat, spread toys around, and encourage them to reach. Ava was slower, still recovering. But Lily was determined, stretching her little arms, trying to grab everything. "That's it, Lily. Almost there." Nathan encouraged. Clara watched from a distance, sitting in the broken chair, drinking coffee, and she smiled. A real smile. It happened on a Tuesday. Nathan was on the floor with both of them as usual. Ava on one side, Lily on the other. He had spread colorful toys across the mat, encouraging them to move. Clara was in the kitchen, washing dishes, when she heard the shout, "Clara, Clara, come here!" "Quick!" She dropped everything and ran, her heart racing, thinking something was wrong. But when she got there, she saw Nathan pointing at the girls, his eyes shining. "Look, they're crawling." Clara looked. Lily was moving, really moving. Knees and hands on the floor, advancing clumsily but with determination toward the red rattle. Ava on the other side was also trying, and slower, but trying. "Oh my God," Clara whispered, her hand over her mouth. "Come on, Lily, you can do it," Nathan encouraged, holding the toy a little further away. Lily moved a little more. 2 movements, 3, and she grabbed the rattle, triumphant, shaking it in the air with a cry of victory. Nathan burst into celebration, clapping his hands. "Yes, you did it!" Clara knelt on the floor, her eyes full of tears. She picked Lily up, kissing her blonde head. "You crawled. My little girl crawled." Ava, not wanting to be left behind, moved too. 1 movement. 2. And she reached the yellow teddy bear that Nathan had placed nearby. Ava too. "Clara, look at Ava," Nathan shouted, picking up the baby and lifting her into the air. Ava giggled, holding her teddy bear. Clara cried. She cried with joy, with pride, with emotion. She took Ava from Nathan's hands and hugged both her daughters against her chest. "You two are amazing, amazing." Nathan sat there on the floor, smiling, not his usual half-smile, but a full cow's genuine smile, from someone who was truly happy. 2 weeks later, it happened again. Nathan was playing with Ava, showing her objects and saying their names. Look, this is a ball. Ball. Ava watched, attentive. And this here, see? Teddy bear. Teddy bear. He picked up the red rattle. And this? This makes a noise. Give me the noise. He shook it. Ava reached out her little hand. Gimme. Nathan froze. What? Gimme, Ava repeated, louder, looking at the rattle. Clara. Clara ran out of the bathroom, soap still on her hands. What is it? What happened? Ava talked. She said, Gimme. Clara's eyes widened. What? Nathan pointed at the rattle. Say it again, Ava. Ask for the rattle. Gimme, Ava said, stretching out her little arms. Clara dropped to the floor, scooped her daughter up, laughing and crying at the same time. You talked, my love, you talked. Nathan stood up, excited. First word. Clara, that's her first word. They celebrated as if it were Christmas. Nathan picked up Lily and started dancing with her around the tiny room. Clara spun around with Ava, kissing her face 1,000 times. Gimme! 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 Ava repeated, amused by everyone's reaction. When the excitement calmed down, Clara sat on the floor still holding Ava, wiping her tear-streaked face. Nathan sat next to her, Lily on his lap. Are you okay? He asked gently. Clara nodded, smiling. I am. It's just, I never thought anyone would celebrate this with us. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? These things, crawling, first words, I always imagined it would just be me, alone, watching the girls grow up with no one to share these moments with. She looked at him. But you're here. You celebrate with us, and that means more than you can imagine. Nathan was silent for a moment, processing. Then, quietly, he said, I never thought I'd be here either, but I'm happy I am. Lily yawned, resting her head on his shoulder. Ava was doing the same thing in Clara's lap. They sat there, on the floor of the small room with the two babies starting to fall asleep, a comfortable silence between them. And for the first time, Clara understood. She wasn't alone. It wasn't just her against the world anymore. There was someone there, someone who cared, someone who celebrated the small victories as if they were major achievements. And that changed everything. It was Friday night when Clara decided to do something different. Nathan had spent the whole afternoon there, playing with the girls on the floor, helping with their warm bath in the old basin, telling made-up stories that made Lily laugh out loud, and Ava clap her clumsy little hands. Lily was now in his lap, pulling at his dark hair with her curious fingers, while he pretended to complain with exaggerated faces. Ava was dozing peacefully in her lined cardboard box, the yellow teddy bear clutched to her small chest. And when Nathan stood up to leave, out as he always did before it got dark, Clara called out to him. Stay for dinner. Nathan stopped, his hand already on the worn doorknob, and looked back, surprised. Are you sure? I am. It's nothing special, but I want you to stay. He hesitated for only a second. Then he smiled, that half smile she had learned to recognize. Then I'll stay. Clara went to the kitchen, nervous in a way she hadn't expected. Her hands trembled as she looked for the ingredients. She hadn't cooked for anyone but herself in years, and when she did cook, it was always something quick, functional, eaten standing up while she took care of the girls. But tonight, she wanted to do something different. She wanted to sit at the table with him. She wanted to thank him somehow. To give back, even just a little, for everything Nathan had done for them. She looked at the cabinets he had filled weeks ago. There was still plenty of food. Rice, pasta, tomato sauce, some basic spices. She decided to make spaghetti, simple, but made with care. She put the water on to boil on the old unhissing stove. She chopped an onion and garlic into small pieces, her eyes stinging a little. She sautéed them in oil with salt. The smell rose, filling the room. She added the tomato sauce, let it bubble. A little sugar to cut the acidity, oregano that perfumed everything. A pinch of pepper. She let it simmer slowly, stirring occasionally. The smell completely filled the space. Nathan was sitting on the floor with the girls, building a tower of colorful blocks that they loved to knock down. but Clara saw when he paused mid-motion, as if frozen. He slowly lifted his head and closed his eyes, breathing in deeply, his chest rising and falling. "Smells good," he said, his voice strange, different, quieter. "It's just spaghetti," Clara replied, stirring the sauce. "I know." There was something in his voice, something heavy, something old, something that made her own chest tighten. She continued cooking, put the pasta in the boiling water, waited for the right time, testing it with a fork, drained it, mixed it with the sauce, served it on plates. 20 minutes later, she placed the plates on the small table. Two simple, worn plastic plates, but generously filled. Spaghetti covered in steaming red sauce with grated cheese on top. "It's ready," she said, wiping her hands. Nathan stood up slowly. He put the girls in their boxes with their toys and came to the table. Clara noticed he took longer than usual. As if he were reluctant, they sat in the broken chairs. Clara poured water. Nathan stared at his plate for a long time, still without picking up his fork. "Are you okay?" Clara asked, concerned. He blinked, as if coming back from far away. "I am. It's just—" He picked up his fork, twirled the spaghetti, brought it to his mouth, chewed slowly, his eyes closed. And Clara saw when his eyes glistened, saw his jaw tense, saw him swallow with difficulty. "Nathan?" He put his fork down, ran his hands over his face, and took a deep breath before speaking. His voice came out broken. "My mum used to make this." Clara stopped eating completely. "What?" "Spaghetti with tomato sauce, exactly like this. With that simple, homemade taste." He looked at the plate, then at her, his eyes shining. "We were poor, very poor. We lived in a place smaller than this. Just one room, shared bathroom down the hall. My mom worked 3 jobs to support us, me and my younger brother." He paused, his breathing heavy. "She worked the graveyard shift at a bakery. In the morning, she cleaned offices. In the afternoon, she watched the neighbors' kids. She'd come home exhausted, but every Friday, without fail, she would make this spaghetti. She said it was our special day, our family time." His voice trembled. "Even when we had almost nothing, when there was barely any bread in the pantry, when the power bill was late and we ate in the dark, she always found a way to make this spaghetti. Always. Because she said we deserved to have something good, something that was just ours." Clara put her fork down, just listening. Her heart ached. Nathan had never spoken like this. He had never opened up about his past this way. "When I was 15, she got sick," he continued, his eyes fixed on his plate. "It started with fatigue. She said it was from work, from being on her feet all day. Then the pain started. She would hide it, didn't want us to worry. But I saw it. I saw her taking medicine in secret, holding onto the wall so she wouldn't fall." He clenched his fists. "When I finally convinced her to go to the hospital, and I only managed because she collapsed at work, it was already too late. Advanced cancer. The doctors said if they had found it sooner, maybe she would have had a chance, but she didn't. There was no money for tests, for appointments, for treatment, for anything." Nathan quickly wiped his face. "She died 6 months later. I had just turned 16. My brother was 13. We went into the foster care system, separated into different families. I begged them to let us stay together, but they said it was easier to place us separately." He closed his eyes. "I never saw my brother again. I tried to find him when I got older, sent letters, made calls, but he had vanished, changed his name, maybe. I don't know. I'll never know." Nathan looked at Clara, and there was so much pain in his eyes. "I was too young. I didn't know how to help. I didn't insist when she said she was fine. I didn't force her to see a doctor sooner. I just watched her waste away, watched her try to be strong for us until her last breath, even when the pain was unbearable." He placed a hand on his chest. "And I still carry that pain today, of not being able to save her, of not doing more, of failing." Clara felt tears in her own eyes. "Nathan, you were a child on your own. I know that up here," he tapped his forehead. "But in here," he pressed his chest, "I still feel like I failed." He took a deep breath. "When I saw you that day, at the light, with a feverish Ava in your arms. I saw my mother. I saw that same exhaustion, that same desperate attempt to make the impossible work. And Ava was just like my mother was at the end, weak, burning with fever, too quiet. His voice broke, and I couldn't turn away. I couldn't. Because if I turned away, it would be like letting my mother die all over again, like failing all over again. Clara couldn't take it. She stood up in a swift movement, walked around the table, and stopped in front of him. Nathan had his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking. She took his hands and made him look at her. "You didn't fail," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "Not with your mother, and not with us." "I should have. You were a child, alone, with no resources, no support. You did what you could, and it was enough. Your mother knew that." She squeezed his hands. "Ah, and now, you've saved Ava. You've saved us. Not just that day. Every day since, and every time you come back, every time you bring food, every time you stay. You've completely changed our lives." Clara's tears fell. "This doesn't erase your pain. Nothing will. But it means something. It means so much." Nathan looked into her eyes, vulnerable, exposed. "When I made money, when the company took off, I swore I would never again see someone suffer the way my mother did without doing something, but I didn't know how. I donated money to charities, helped organizations, but it always felt distant, impersonal." He looked at the girls. "Until you gave me the chance to make a real difference, to be present, to matter in a real way." Clara felt her throat tighten. "You matter more than you know, to me, to the girls." She went back to her seat. They ate in silence for a few minutes, a different kind of silence, deeper, more real. "Thank you for sharing that with me," Clara said softly. "I know it wasn't easy. I needed you to know. I needed you to understand why I'm here. It's not pity. It never was." "I know that now." Nathan finished his plate, took it to the sink, and came back. He sat closer this time. "And you?" he asked gently. "Their father." Clara tensed up. Her shoulders stiffened. "There's not much to tell." "Clara." She sighed. "We met at the supermarket where I worked. He was a customer. Nice, funny, made me laugh. We started dating. Everything happened too fast, but I'd been alone for so long that I just went with it." She poked at the rest of her pasta. "When I found out I was pregnant, he was happy at first. Said it would work out, that we'd be a family. But when we found out it was twins, he changed. He started disappearing, making excuses, and one day in my 7th month he was just gone, blocked my number, moved out of town." Her voice hardened. "I tried to find him. I tried to ask for help, but he made it clear to everyone that the girls weren't his problem, that I had to figure it out on my own." Nathan clenched his fists. "He doesn't deserve you. He never did." "I know. But at the time, I felt so alone. More alone than I had ever felt before." She looked at him. "Until you showed up." Their eyes met. There was something there, something new and scary and real. Clara looked away, nervous. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." She took a deep breath. "What if this is just for a little while?" Nathan frowned. "What do you mean? What if you get tired of us, of the girls, of me, of this life? You have a company, a whole life out there, and we're complicated. We need a lot. What if one day you wake up and realize you don't want this anymore?" Her voice trembled. "I can't handle getting my hopes up, the girls' hopes, my hopes. What if you leave later?" Nathan was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up, walked around the table, and knelt in front of her chair, taking her hands. "Clara, I don't know what the future holds. I can't promise that everything will always be perfect. That would be a lie." He squeezed her hands. "But I can promise you this. I will not just disappear. I'm not going to wake up one day and decide I'm tired of it. That's not how I work." He ran his thumbs over her fingers. "We'll figure it out. Together. One day at a time. No pressure. No rush. But I'm here, Clara, and I'm going to stay, as long as you'll have me." Clara felt the tears fall. What if I want you to stay forever? Nathan smiled, a genuine, full smile. Then I'll stay forever. She let out a sob and he pulled her into a hug. Clara rested her face on his shoulder and let herself cry, not from sadness, from relief, from finally believing she wasn't alone. Later, when the girls were asleep, Clara and Nathan sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you for dinner, Nathan said quietly. It meant a lot. Thank you for staying. Always. Clara rested her head on his shoulder. Nathan put his arm around her. Now you have us, Clara whispered. Nathan kissed the top of her head. And you have me, completely. That night, in the small room, with 2 babies sleeping safely and an empty plate in the sink, something changed. They were no longer strangers brought together by circumstance. They were no longer just a mother in need of help and a man trying to redeem his past. They were a family beginning to form. Different, imperfect, full of painful stories, but real, true. And that was more than either of them had dared to dream. The first day without Nathan was just strange. Clara waited for the familiar knock on the door in the afternoon, as had happened every day for the past few weeks. She waited to hear the sound of his car parking. She waited to see him walk in with that half smile, bringing something or just coming to spend time with them. But he didn't come. He must be busy, she told herself, adjusting Lily on her hip while preparing Ava's bottle. He has a whole company to run, meetings, decisions. Ava looked at the door several times during the day, as if she were waiting. Lily was restless, turning her head every time she heard a noise from the street. They felt it. Even so small, they felt his absence. That night, Clara checked her phone for the 10th time. No messages, no calls. It's okay. One day is normal. He has his own life. Responsibilities. She put the girls to sleep, singing softly, and tried not to think about it, but she thought about it all night. On the second day, the worry started to grow. Clara woke up and immediately checked her phone. Nothing. She spent the day looking out the window. Every car that passed made her heart race. None of them stopped. She took out the piece of paper where Nathan had written his number. She kept it in a drawer like a treasure. She stared at it for a long time, the phone trembling in her other hand. Should she call, send a text? But what if he was just busy? What if she seemed needy? She put the paper back. Lily cried more than usual. Ava was too quiet, uninterested in the toys he had brought. He'll be back, Clara told them, trying to convince herself. He always comes back. But the doubt was there, small and poisonous. On the third day, the fear took shape. Clara spent the day obsessively checking her phone. With every notification, her heart pounded. It was never him. She prepared food using the groceries Nathan had brought. Every item was a reminder of him. The rice, the pasta, the diapers in the right size. What if he didn't come back? What if it was all over? What if she had to go back to the traffic light? Stop, she told herself. Stop thinking like that. But she couldn't. That night, after hesitating for hours, she picked up her phone and typed, "Hey, is everything okay?" She stared at the screen. Her heart pounded. She sent it. The message was delivered, but it wasn't read. Clara waited. 1 hour, 2, 3. Nothing. She slept with the phone next to her pillow. The message remained unread. On the 4th day, anger set in. Clara woke up and checked her phone, still unread. Of course, she muttered bitterly. Of course he disappeared. Lily cried for attention, but it took Clara a moment to pick her up. She was tired. Tired of waiting, tired of believing. It was too good to be true, she said out loud while changing a diaper. I knew it. I knew it would end like this. Ava looked at her with huge, frightened eyes. I'm sorry, my love, Clara whispered, picking up the baby. Mommy is just tired. But it wasn't just tiredness. It was disillusionment. It was fear. It was the feeling of abandonment returning with a vengeance. He had said he would stay. He had promised. He had held her hands and said he wouldn't disappear, so why had he vanished without a word? Clara went through the day on autopilot, but inside, she was falling apart. On the 5th day, resignation came. Clara didn't check her phone when she woke up. She didn't wait for a knock on the door. She just went about her day one step at a time. The girls were more tearful. Lily refused to eat. Ava clung to her the whole time, not wanting to be alone for even a second. They knew. They felt his absence like a hole. "I know you miss him," Clara said as she rocked them both. "I miss him too." But maybe it was for the best. Better for it to end now than later when they were even more attached. There was food in the cabinets for a few more weeks. After that, she would go back to the traffic light, back to her old life, as if Nathan had never existed. The thought hurt more than she expected. On the 6th day, Clara finally cried. She had tried to hold it in all day. She took care of the girls, prepared food, cleaned the house. She functioned as she always did. But at night, when she finally put the girls to sleep, when silence filled the room, she broke down. She sat on the floor, leaning against the cold wall, and let the tears fall. She cried quietly so as not to wake them. She cried for believing, for trusting, for letting the girls get attached, for getting attached herself. She cried because it had been too good. Because for the first time in years she had felt less alone, because she had started to dream of something different, and now she was back to reality. Alone, as always. "I'm an idiot," she whispered in the dark. An idiot for believing. She looked at her phone one last time. The message still hadn't been read. He wasn't going to answer. He wasn't coming back. On the 7th day, Clara made a decision. She woke up determined. She was going to move on. She was going back to her old routine. She was going to forget Nathan ever existed. She dressed the girls carefully, picked up the old box of candy. She looked at it for a long, painful moment. She had to go back to the light. There was no choice. She was about to leave, her hand on the doorknob, when she heard a knock on the door. Clara's heart literally stopped. Then it started pounding. She didn't move for several seconds, just stood there, frozen. The knock came again, louder. With trembling hands, Clara slowly opened the door. Nathan was there, but it wasn't the usual Nathan. He was visibly exhausted. Deep dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, wrinkled clothes. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, but his eyes were steady, focused, determined. "Clara." She said nothing, just stared, all the emotions of the last week exploding at once. Anger, relief, fear, joy, pain. "Can I come in?" Nathan asked, his voice hoarse. Clara stepped aside. He came in and closed the door. Standing just inside, the girls were in their boxes. Lily saw him first. She squealed with joy, reaching out her little arms. Ava looked, and her eyes instantly filled with tears. Nathan went to them quickly, kneeling down. He scooped them both up, one in each arm, and closed his eyes tightly, holding them against his chest. "I missed you," he said quietly, his voice breaking. "So much." Clara stood there, watching. The lump in her throat prevented any words. After a long moment, Nathan gently put the girls back down and turned to Clara. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice was heavy. "I'm sorry for disappearing, for not texting, for leaving you without any news." Clara crossed her arms, protecting herself. "Where were you?" "The company had a crisis, a very serious one." He ran a hand through his messy hair. "One of our biggest clients sued us, threatened to bankrupt us completely. I had to be buried in it day and night. Endless meetings, lawyers, paperwork. Trying to save everything I've built for the last 10 years. He looked at her with tired but honest eyes. "I lost my phone on the 2nd day. It fell and shattered during a meeting. By the time I could get a new one, 4 days had passed. And I didn't know your number by heart. It was only saved on the old one." He took a step closer. "I should have come here. Even for just 5 minutes. I should have found a way to let you know, but I was scared. Scared that if I left for even a second, everything would fall apart. And if I lost everything, how could I keep helping you?" His voice got lower. But I didn't stop thinking about you for a second. Every meeting, every document, every decision, I was thinking about you. About coming back. About explaining. Clara felt the tears returning. I thought you had left. That you had given up on us. Never. Nathan took another step. Never, Clara. I told you I wouldn't disappear. And I failed. I know I failed. But it wasn't because I wanted to. It wasn't because I gave up. He stopped in front of her. And in the middle of all that chaos, there was a moment where I stopped and thought, what am I doing? Why am I fighting so hard to save a company if the people who really matter are waiting for me? He took her hands firmly, and I realized I want more than this, more than just helping, more than just showing up once in a while. Nathan looked deep into her eyes. If you'll have me, we can be a family, for real, not just visits, but a real family. Me, you, the girls, together, every day. Clara stood still, processing his words. What? I want to be a part of your lives, truly. I don't want to leave every day anymore. I want to wake up here. I want to watch the girls grow up. I want to be present for every moment. He squeezed her hands. I want to be their father. If you'll let me. Clara's tears fell uncontrollably. Are you sure? Absolutely. More sure than I've been about anything in my life. Clara closed her eyes, took a deep breath. When she opened them, she looked right at him. I want that too. Nathan let out a huge sigh he seemed to have been holding for days. Really, really, I want it. I'm scared, but I want it. He pulled her into a tight hug. Clara melted into him, feeling the solidness, the safety, the realness of his presence. It's not going to be easy, she murmured against his chest. There will be hard days. Problems. I know, but we'll solve them. Together. Clara looked up at his face. Together, she repeated. Nathan smiled, that full smile she loved so much. The girls started making noise, wanting attention. He picked them both up and sat on the floor. Clara sat down beside him. And there, in that small room with two blonde babies laughing between them, something solidified. It was no longer a possibility. It was no longer an uncertain hope. It was a decision. It was a commitment. It was a family. For real. 6 months later, everything was different. Clara woke up to the sun streaming through the bedroom window. Not the tiny room from before, but a real bedroom in a real house. She turned over in bed. Nathan was already up. She heard noises coming from the kitchen, high-pitched laughter, his deep voice talking animatedly. She smiled. She got up slowly and went to see. In the kitchen, Nathan was on the floor in his pajamas, surrounded by the girls. Ava, almost 2 now, was standing, holding onto his leg, swaying. Lily was crawling around, pulling at everything she saw. Good morning, Clara said from the doorway. Nathan looked up, smiling that smile she loved so much. Good morning. I tried not to wake you. It's okay. I slept well. He stood up, scooping up Ava before she could fall, and walked over to Clara. He kissed her forehead tenderly. Coffee's ready. I made it just how you like it. Clara looked around the kitchen, toys scattered on the floor. Ava's drawing stuck to the fridge with colorful magnets. Lily's bottle in the sink, an organized mess, a family mess. They had breakfast together at the simple table, the girls in their high chairs making a mess with their food. Nathan patiently wiped Ava's mouth. Clara helped Lily hold her cup. It was routine. It was simple. It was everything Clara never knew she needed. The house wasn't big. 3 modest bedrooms, a small living room, a functional kitchen, a tiny backyard. Nothing luxurious, but it was theirs. The walls had photos now. Nathan with the girls, Clara smiling, the 4 of them together. Family. That afternoon, after the girls' nap, Nathan came into the living room with a different expression. Serious, but not worried. Determined. Clara, I need to talk to you about something important. She looked up from the couch where she was folding clean laundry. Is everything okay? Did something happen? Everything's fine. He sat down next to her, taking her hand. It's just, there's something I really want to do. Something I've been thinking about for a long time. Clara frowned, curious. What is it? Nathan took a deep breath. I want to adopt the girls legally. Clara sat completely still, the laundry forgotten in her lap. They're already my daughters in my heart, he continued, holding her hand tightly. You know that, but I want them to be my daughters in name too. Officially. I want my name on their birth certificates. I want them to have full legal protection. I want that if something happens to me or to you, they have every right. I want official permanence. He looked deep into her eyes. I know it's serious. I know it's permanent, but that's exactly what I want. Permanence, total commitment. A real family. On paper too, not just in our hearts. Clara felt her throat tighten with emotion. Are you absolutely sure? Completely. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. She looked at him, at his sincere eyes, at the face that had become so essential, so much a part of her. Then yes, I want that. I completely agree. Nathan smiled, relieved and happy. Really, they're as much yours as they are mine. He pulled her into a tight hug. The following weeks were filled with paperwork, lawyers, and bureaucratic processes. Nathan handled everything with patience and determination. Clara signed where she needed to sign, answered questions, provided documents, and waited. 2 weeks later, on an ordinary Thursday afternoon, Nathan came home earlier than usual. Clara was in the kitchen seasoning chicken for dinner. The girls were playing loudly in the living room with colorful blocks. Clara, Nathan called from the doorway, his voice strange, emotional. She turned around. He was standing there, holding a manila folder. His eyes were glistening with moisture. It came. Clara's heart sped up. What? He walked in slowly, placed the folder on the table. He opened it with hands that were trembling slightly. He took out the papers, official documents, with stamps, signatures, government seals. The adoption was approved. It's official now. Legal. Permanent. He showed her the documents, his hands shaking with emotion. Clara saw the names printed in official letters. Ava Santos Miller, Lily Santos Miller. Both last names, hers and his, together. Look here, Nathan said, pointing, his voice failing. Father. Nathan Miller. It's here. On paper. Official. Real. Forever. Clara covered her mouth with her hands. The tears came instantly, hot, impossible to hold back. Nathan dropped the papers on the table and held her face in his hands. They have both our last names now. Yours and mine. Because they're our daughters. Both of ours. Clara couldn't hold it in anymore. She completely broke down. She cried loudly, not caring. Nathan pulled her into a tight hug. Thank you, she sobbed against his chest. Thank you for staying, for not giving up, for choosing us, for doing this. You don't have to thank me. This is exactly where I want to be. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life. He held her face, wiping away the tears with his thumbs. You're my family now, my real family, and I'm never leaving. Never again. The girls, sensing the intense emotion in the air even without understanding, came over to them. Lily tugged on Nathan's pants. Ava lifted her small arms, wanting to be held. Nathan bent down and picked them both up at once, one in each arm. Hi, my daughters, he said, and his voice trembled deeply. My real daughters. Official, legal. On paper and in my heart. Forever. Ava laughed, not understanding but feeling the joy. Lily clapped her hands excitedly, thinking it was a game. Clara looked at the three of them together, Nathan holding the two blonde girls, all of them laughing, all of them there, all of them hers, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years, complete peace, true peace, deep belonging. A real family. That night, after a simple but delicious celebratory dinner, after putting the girls to sleep with soft singing and more kisses than usual, Clara and Nathan sat together on the old couch. Do you think they'll understand one day? Clara asked quietly, her head resting on his shoulder. When they're older, how much this means. What you did. I think so, eventually, Nathan said, putting his arm around her. When they're old enough to understand what family, choice, and commitment are, they'll understand that I chose them, that I wanted to be their father. He paused. And if they don't understand the full depth of it, that's okay too. What's really important is that they will never, ever doubt that they are loved, that they are wanted, that they belong. That's what really matters. Clara closed her eyes, feeling his presence, solid and real. I never thought I'd have this, she confessed softly. A real family, a home, someone who would stay. I didn't think I'd have it either, Nathan admitted. I spent years focused only on work, on building a company, on making money. I thought that was enough, but it wasn't. It never filled the emptiness. He kissed the top of her head. Until you. The three of you filled everything. You gave me a real purpose. You gave me a family. You gave me a home. They sat in comfortable silence, just existing together. They're ours now, Nathan said after a while. Officially, legally, forever. Nothing can change that. It's on paper. It's in the law. It's in our hearts. Forever, Clara repeated, liking the sound, the weight, the meaning of the word. And in that simple house, with toys scattered on the floor, children's drawings on the fridge, and two blonde girls sleeping safely in the next room, everything finally made complete sense. It wasn't the perfect family from a fairy tale. It had started in desperation, at a hot traffic light, in poverty, in fear. It had gone through doubt, separation, pain. But it had survived. It had grown. It had solidified. And now it was real. It was solid. It was legal. It was permanent. It was theirs, completely theirs, forever. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.